Join BD Tharp at Barnes & Noble's at Newmarket Square in Wichita on March 22nd from 2 to 4 p.m. She will be signing her feisty family books as well as other novels. And as we always say, read a book! Welcome to Tikiman and the Viking podcast. And he is Tikiman.
I'm H.B. Burlow, the historical crime fiction author of the Wichita Chronicles, with the second book coming out on December 9th, titled The End of the Treachery. And he is the Viking.
I am William Bryan Johnson, author of Hell to Pay and The Dark Cry of Aristed, and soon coming out.
Really?
Middle-aged Man in a Trash Can.
Woohoo! Great to hear that.
In this episode, round 3 of the roundtable discussion with BD Tharp and Radar DeBoard, we continue talking about social media, AI, and how we look at things as writers.
Bonnie, you and I, for sure, were writing well before social media. Tell the young folks who might be listening, and I will as well too, what writing was like back in the day.
Well, we would go on top of a hill, and we would light a fire. And we would take a blanket and we would lay it over the fire and make puffs. And those puffs actually meant nothing because we didn't know how to do it.
But it looked good.
It did look good.
And people are wondering, what's that fire?
Yeah. And then I'd say, I wrote a book.
My Google back in the day was a thing called the Boston Public Library. Mm-hmm. The search engine was the Dewey Decimal System.
Sorry, one of my favorite lines from the movie UHF. Don't you know the Dewey Decimal System?
And I tell you, spending a long time, hours in a public library in Boston, Massachusetts, a big one, was profound.
Yes.
By the same token, living in a city like Boston, where there were artists of all kinds in not even spitting distance, like hand distance. You could find a poet or a musician or a painter or, even a sculptor. I got one. I did meet one. The bottom line is that's the other aspect. So coming to Local Authors Day April, who spoke on our first episode of this, she had a writing workshop that was here at the library. Right. And that was a way of drawing, and the people that came to that, I went to about half a dozen of those. Some people came regularly. They were all different writing experiences and levels and so forth. And you could tell that some of them were yearning to know that there were other people out there like them. I'm struggling with this process. I'm a new writer. What do I do? Mm-hmm. And that is, if you're starting, I think the face-to-face is where you start. Anybody who's a starting writer who thinks that you can get a foothold on social media first, meet people, talk to people, and then connect with them, right?
And we had groups that we cut our teeth in. I mean, there's Kansas Writers Association. Yeah, Kansas Authors.
That was huge.
Yeah, and creatives need other creatives.
Yeah, that's what helped me get started.
Yeah, I think also it's the mindset you take onto social media. If you go on there, it's kind of like, the kind of mindset you take into being a writer. If you go, I'm going to be a New York Times bestseller, I'm going to be famous after a book or two, take that off the table.
I would have been one and done.
Yeah. So, but the same kind of thing will apply to social media. So when I first got back onto X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it, I started by going, I'm just going to gain as many fans as possible before my first book comes out. And that was the wrong way of thinking about it, because you just got crap followers, people who would follow you once, you'd follow them back, and they unfollow you because they're like, well, now I got my follower count up. Or you'd have people who were just bots or things like that. It was much more quantity over quality. And with social media, if you get that quality, you can find those communities. And sure, it doesn't necessarily make up for face-to-face, but it helps a heck of a lot. And there's, it's been great connecting with all those people across social media apps. And a lot of them I consider some of my best friends now. And we stay in touch all the time through various means, not just social media. But that's the way it started, is that me shifting my mindset to let me connect with like-minded people. Let me find that community via social media. And it works so well for doing that because, again, I've connected with people in the UK, people in Australia, New Zealand, stuff like that. I would have never gotten that opportunity. And it's fantastic.
And I want to piggyback off that, and you know where I'm going to go with this. There was one time 8-9 years ago, I found a gentleman over in Scotland who had a very interesting book out. I friended him. It started out casually, and now we're at a point where I'm friends with him on Facebook and his wife. He and his wife are friends with my wife. Okay. We wrote each other into each other's novels. Okay. And we're referencing Alex Gordon, who we interviewed, a journalist. He's written many sports books.
It was our first international
podcast. So, as validation of what you're saying, that's an example for me of how I encountered somebody who I can now consider a very dear friend, wonderful, funny, entertaining guy, rich, rewarding writer.
Right.
Whoa. That was alliteration. I was able to get through that. Okay. And so that possibility does exist. But again, I would not have been following your Instagram post had we not met here, from the, so for me, mostly it's about the face-to-face, and let's see what they're doing on social media. Now that may be generational in nature. Would you agree?
I think that's more of what I'm doing now too.
Right.
And before it was all face-to-face or not at all, and or mail or email, like newsletters and all of this kind of stuff. And it's so much harder. It's a lot nicer to just do a little message and things shooting out there.
Publicity talks about newsletters. I have never done a newsletter.
I have, and I'm not very good at it.
And I know it's probably important, to do a newsletter, but again, I think we talked about in the first part with the Substack and like right. It's like, well, now I have to write something though, on an additional thing, and you're like, well, I'm just trying to get the book out, guys. Sure. So it's already difficult as is.
Do either one of you blog?
No, I do not blog.
Oh, a little. I do a little. Yeah.
But I do refer to the TikTok as kind of a digital blog.
Right.
With the way that you do it, you write a script, you're going on and you're doing essentially a video blog.
Yeah, your posts about the horror movies.
Right.
It's kind of you're right. That's a video blog post about something tangential to what you're writing, but close enough to where people can follow. It's like I'm talking about movies that have already come out, but these are horror movies. We're talking about aspects of them. Oh, by the way, I'm a horror writer. Okay?
Right.
So it's like from that standpoint.
And truthfully, I kind of wonder if blogs even still have a place. I know for writers they do, but really almost every other group has gotten away from blogs.
I tell you something, on my blog, which I've been running for, I think we calculate 14 years. 14 years.
Damn.
Every time I get a follower, it's from an affiliate marketing person. So I'm getting, it's not, maybe they're not bots, but they all want to help me out. I had somebody reach out to me on a writers group. It was like, hey, are you doing videos? Yes, I do my own videos. Thank you very much. And they kept coming back at me. It's like, no thanks. Yeah. Finally, to the administrator, why is this person on this writing group? You can tell they're trying to sell. And that's not the case. I think for me, blogging is as much about an excuse, a reason to write something.
There you go.
Every week. It's my own version of the newsletter. My blog posts are usually 500 to 600 words.
It's not too lengthy.
Right. Just something about what's happening, or the Instagram post with the food.
Yeah. And I mean, with me, Rumination of Thunder, which I do update when I have weather things or photography things going on. I mean, but that's weather specific. I mean, it's not that I do it all the time because, if I have nothing like middle of winter, although I've done videos of the snow, I could have put on there, and I probably should put on there and just, remind people, hey, I'm still here.
But it all goes back to what April referenced in the first part. Sometimes the social media aspect is all about getting potential readers to know who you are, because the thing is, you're not selling books. You're selling yourself first.
Right. Yeah.
Why do I want to buy this person's book? Because they're interesting enough. And if they're interesting as a human being, hey, they may be a good writer. Now, that's your bait. You better, put out a good product. Otherwise, they ain't buying squat after that.
Yeah.
So that's the other consideration too.
It's and then people are so much more likely if they connect with you as a person and they think you're a good human being.
Right.
We want the people who in entertainment world that we, consume their media, we want them to be good people, and maybe that speaks to why H.P. Lovecraft died broke. He wasn't necessarily a good person.
Well, I mean, Poe died broke too.
Yeah.
His stuff didn't hit until after.
Right, yeah. So, I mean, people want you to be good, and if they can see you're a good person, that's consistently what you do, and they resonate with you, they'll definitely be much more willing to back you.
Or maybe we need to pick our nuts.
I like the way you think.
Let me get out a couple more.
Oh, hard buds.
The Derp Cry novels.
Whenever I sell a book and offer to sign it, I say that signature is going to be worth something someday because they either be famous or dead.
That's right. One or the other, baby.
And my wife is hoping for the famous.
Yeah.
But with insurance, she's covered.
Yeah.
Yes. We might have to edit that out. I'm not sure. She listens to the podcast. We'll leave it. But still, no matter what we all think about social media, inspiration, use as a tool, whatever, it still falls back on us to put out a good product. So if we're not working on our craft, all we're doing is being Ronco and having the pocket fisherman or some crap product that we're just hawking and hawking and hawking.
Right.
And
ShamWow.
Oh,
Did you
God.
get that?
No, I never.
Camera guy?
The camera.
Remember that saying? Did you get that camera guy?
yeah.
Oh, yeah, the show.
Oh my God. That used to crack me up.
So,
I don't want to be hawking anything.
is there anything new you guys are planning? There's one thing I listened to a podcast the other day. Murr Lafferty does one on sci-fi, and I think it was either Ditch Diggers or I Should Be Writing, and which speaks to me a lot. But she started talking that they did a multiverse newscast, and I thought, you know what, the multiverse book's coming out. I kind of want to do an old-timey newscast guy voice and do stories from the multiverse and just have it as an old-time radio show that I'll throw up on Instagram and TikTok.
That sounds like fun.
Yeah.
I ran do TikTok.
We
And I quit Twitter. I'm sorry, Elon went over to the dark side, so I just
Right. Yeah, it's fair. And it's a different environment now, too. Like, it feels like, unfortunately, with Twitter/X, just that writing element, that writing group and community that we talked about in part 1 is kind of stepped out of there. Or they're all in Blue Sky as well. And it's like, well, I had to pick one or the other, guys.
Well, and the thing I've found with Blue Sky is, having many hats and personalities that I have, if I want to do photography specifically, I can go to the photography thread.
Right.
If I want to do writing specifically, I can do the writing thread. The problem is now that there's so many people, there's multiple writing threads, there's multiple photography threads, and that will come as it grows because it grew fast.
Right. And I think that's like a growing pain that happens across any social media platform you hop on. You're not going to have the ins and outs known right away, and you're just going to have to figure out what works best for you.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's wrap this up with each of your personal recommendations on how you think writers or creatives should use social media. Radar, go.
Oh, man. I think that's just dependent on what you're writing, who you are, how old you are, what generation you're looking for, like the audience you're wanting. In my personal experience, of course, stated at TikTok has been a blessing to get on and interact with people. Book Talk itself is one heck of a machine in terms of just really getting writers out there into the world.
Yeah. And I need to learn more book talk because I've been seeing a lot of things like follow parties and things like that. They're coming up that people say are really good to get more readers.
And it's a fantastic place to find art readers. There's so much more willing. You friend someone on TikTok and then you're like, you reach out to them DM and go, hey, you want a review copy? That's how I've gotten some people in the UK to like my books, or somewhere else in the States to do that, is through TikTok. And that's how I did it. My personality works well in a video format though.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
because I'm a little on the weird side. Not so much when I'm doing like, a 20-word post and my comedy is not coming through or my weirdness isn't coming through and people just go, it's just weird. So that's my takeaway. You got to find your audience. You got to find what medium works best for your personality.
So, Bonnie, what about people of, shall we say, our generation who, maybe are just venturing into social media?
Unfortunately, I think Facebook is probably where to reach those people. People of our generation are following our kids, our cousins, our relatives.
Right.
And I think it's the best, unfortunately. I'm not that enamored of it, but right now the audience is appearing to be more older. Right?
I agree, and it's good to see what's going on in groups and things. I counted the other day. I went through 30 posts. Out of each 10, I maybe had 3 from people I knew. The rest of it was either groups that I belonged to or sponsored links.
I've got some garbage coming in on my book page. I have no idea why.
Huh. Yeah.
They keep recommending these weird pages or groups, and I'm just like,
You broke the algorithm.
gosh, I must have.
Leave it to Bonnie to break.
Don't break it. I guess if I had to add also like a disclaimer, because your mental health is super important.
Yes.
And that's one of the most important things you can have. And social media can just decimate it.
Mm-hmm.
And I, look, the algorithm is what it is wherever you go.
Right.
But it's not going to derail your whole writing career if you go, I can't do this right now, and you take a few days off. That's my advice too.
And that's where I think that Bonnie and I are at an advantage, is because we lived before all of this, and it's like it's easy to go back and go, I don't need this.
No, I'm not doing that today. I'm not.
I did before that too. I mean,
I've been trying so hard over the past several episodes to not expound on your advanced age, but if you want me to go there.
No. I was around in the days of dial-up, but
Thank you guys for joining us once again. We have, because of one of our guests' comments, have ended our episodes with one phrase. Read a book. So
There you go.
we've got Bonnie Tharp, Radar DeBoard. Thank you for joining us. Go out, folks, and read a book.
Yeah, read a book and take care.
Oh,
Bye-bye.
yes. Excellent.
Oh.
Tikiman and the Viking podcast brought to you by Rumination of Thunder Media. The following intro and outro music was used for this media project. The music Find Them by Alexander Nakrata. Free download from filmmusic.io. License Creative Commons Attribution 4.0 International.